So, should you play TFT? If I had to give you a short answer, it would be nah. There's better stuff out there. TFT does have two redeeming qualities though, and I'll explain what they are. But first, one of the things that I think TFT lacks, that I'm noticing a trend with another game that I previously talked about last time, it's pretty good, you should check it out, is that there isn't a tutorial if you download the game on PC, or at least I wasn't prompted with one. So if for some reason you decide to go against my sage judgment and download the game, here's a quick speed run of what you need to know before you start playing. You place units on the board. Your units will attack and or sometimes tank. You don't need to actually physically control them, which is nice, but positioning can be very important. There's a bench where you can store extra units that you aren't actively using, and there's a shop where you can spend money to buy new units. When you buy 3 of the same unit, it upgrades to a better unit, and if you do that 6 more times, it becomes even crazy. Each unit has these passives, and if you combine certain units with other units, then you unlock these passives for the fight, and your team gets stronger. The meat and potatoes of this game falls into 2 sections. You're either going to be fighting monsters for loot and other units, or you're going to be battling against players over and over and over until there's only one player remaining, hopefully you. Try to always end your rounds with 50 gold to maintain some interest, and try to avoid wasting your money by re-rolling blindly. There are also augments, the carousel rounds, item building, but I would need 10 more minutes to teach everything. And if you want to try the game, my advice would be grab very generic augments that are easy to understand, and try to follow the recommended items for your units by clicking on this little tab here. Now that I'm done with my tutorial, we can move on to... Let's talk about the only reason that I think my long answer might actually be a yes. Do you have a friend? Do you think that you can convince your friend to learn this incredibly hard to learn and very unintuitive game?
Lay down right here, do it. Do it.
If both of those answers are yes, then yes, I think you should download TFT. Because Double Up is actually very, very fun. I'm a big fan of cooperative games. And I'm an even bigger fan of roguelikes. And when you put those two together...
Baby, you got a stew going.
And that's what Double Up is. It takes the same mode, but rather than an 8-player free-for-all, it instead puts you into 4 teams of 2 players. The awesome thing about this mode is that you can launch units that your friend might need to help them get a juicy 2 or 3-star unit, as well as swap item components or even completed items. There's even a third bonus, and that is if you can find a friend who already knows the game, you can have them give you advice and help you out while you're still learning the basics. There's also the invade mechanic where you can go back up your buddy if they are in trouble, or vice versa.
Hey, look at him go ham now from the back.
Oh my god, dude. And sometimes even some really awesome synergies that wouldn't work in solo queue.
Nice.
It's like you're getting like free levels. Oh, you invade! Dude, do you get the XP when you kill them too?
Oh, wait. Do I? Let me see. I have 5 out of 6.
No
No
way.
way, that would be broken. That would be
Would
broken.
that be broken?
I'm still working. Oh, I do.
Double Up is great. I don't mind getting slapped around so hard, because whether it's going to a bar or a trip to the dentist, having a friend always makes it a way better time. But when you're alone, you're always going to end up asking yourself the very same question, and that's... Let's talk about my #1 issue with this game, and ultimately the single reason it's keeping me from recommending this game to any potential players. And that's the fact that when you lose, and trust me, you will lose a lot once you start climbing in rank, you will fall into 2 scenarios. Scenario A, you're not doing so well in the early to mid game, and you're trying to build a board. And if you're not knocked out right away when you get to the late game, the opponent somehow has assembled some unbeatable monster board and proceeds to annihilate you in seconds. Scenario B, you get the best start. You grab these cool augments and your board is looking good, You're getting the right units, and it's really fun. You're winning rounds, maybe you build up a streak. It really does feel wonderful. But then you get to the late game and the last person remaining somehow has assembled some unbeatable monster board and proceeds to annihilate you in seconds. Now I'm lucky to have had a very good friend help me learn this game. I can send you COG.
You sent me what?
COG.
Ah,
No.
Cog?
COG? POG? No.
I think
cock,
isn't it in the
cog.
middle? What do you say? It's in the middle.
But one makes a k. I feel like they're pretty substantially different
Lady
things. Isn't it?
Sona, if I fall today,
Substantially
let your
different.
song-
Okay, wait. COG and cock. Thank you, Andy. And according to him, getting first place shouldn't be considered the basis upon which you determine whether you have won or lost.
I'm just a big, hairy American winning machine. If you ain't first, you're last.
And in all honesty, I'm okay with not getting first place every round. But what I can't stand is that I have no idea why I'm losing. There are times where I understand why I lost the game, and that's usually because of a huge mistake I've made, like picking a terrible augment or trying to compete with other players for a region, and that's fine. But what isn't fine is how terrible the game is at showing you why you're suddenly getting randomly slapped after doing well all game, or doing okay even. And to me, that's a huge turnoff. I'm a very competitive person, and I relish competition. I will always take a good match where I barely win, versus a boring stomp and a free victory. And there's a delicious gratification in seeing your weaknesses, adapting, and overcoming them to ultimately turn into a stronger player. But this growth cannot be achieved if you don't understand why you're getting crushed. There are times when I see someone playing the same strat, and they seem to be infinitely stronger than my versions when I try to do the same exact gambit. The game has a lot of depth, way more than I had envisioned, but the sad part is if I'm struggling in bronze or silver tier matches to understand this, that's where we also have a big problem. I'm expecting the ultimate caliber of gameplay at the higher ranks, and I'm willing to bet it's those tiny micro decisions that separate a win from a loss. Picking the right augment or item, and so on and so forth. But I've never run into a game where I found the bronze lobbies a literal brick wall when it comes to making progress. And before you say anything, I've done my research and I've come prepared. I know there are websites where you can see what's currently meta or overpowered, and even copy-paste build guides that tell you what to combine with what. But if that's ultimately the sole reason why I see no progress, then I'd rather just not play at all. Because it's basically depriving you of the one joy of what a roguelike excels at. And that's coming up with your own strategy and combination that you thought of on the spot, and seeing it lead you to victory. Before I end this video though, there is one last point I want to make, and it's actually a positive one. I know I'm going to start sounding like a broken record at this point, but TFT does one thing very well, and that's nail the two core components every good roguelike needs: the salt and pepper. Let's talk about the salt first. There is so much variety. Rarely will you play a game that feels the same. There are dozens of units and dozens of types of units with dozens of combos. There's dozens of items, dozens of augments, and you can see where I'm going with this already. One point that I want to talk about that for me was truly the greatest part were the augments. Some of them are just downright silly or weird or super niche and can either end in catastrophic failure or glorious second place victories. And I love this so much. There are so many cool augments to talk about, but here are some of the ones that I loved in particular. Space Jam Ilaoi. The 2-cost reroll spammer. The Juiced Zon Jinx Death Squad. I could just keep going on and on. A lot of these augments are just really fun to play with. And then there's the pepper. And boy, is there a lot of flipping pepper. There are these boards of a bunch of 2-star 5-cost units that'll destroy you. If you somehow 3-star a 4-cost or a 5-cost unit, it destroys you. Some teams that have a specific unit with some specific artifacts destroy you. Much like the salt, I can keep going on and on. I think for a game that's purely PvP, I feel like the breakability is a bit too much. But hell, I can bet you money that the person on the other side of the board is having as much fun as I'm feeling miserable, so maybe it balances itself out in the long run. So, should you play TFT? If you have a friend, then yeah, I would actually say give Double Up a try, and have fun helping each other out and coming up with unique comps that try to avoid using the same units. If you're somehow unable to find a friend, then the good news for you is that there are plenty of other better roguelikes out there. Ones that I've talked about, or maybe we'll even talk about in the future, or any of these that are on the screen right now. Anyways, that's all that I have to say. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.